from Albany, Georgia. Albany State 31, Tuskegee University 21. Here are the final statistics from this SIAC contest. Tuskegee 25 pounds, Albany State 16. Total net rushing yards, Tuskegee 112 yards on 32 attempts. Albany 201 yards on 43. Net passing yards, Tuskegee 244 for Albany 188. Total offensive plays in the ball game, Tuskegee with 81 total plays for 356 yards. Albany 57 plays for 389 yards. Fumble returns, Albany State with 1 for 5. Punt return yardage, Albany State 2 for 50. Kickoff returns, 6 returns, 95 yards for Tuskegee, 3 returns, 60 yards for Albany State. Albany State with 2 interceptions, return total of 32 yards. Average punts, Tuskegee 5 punts for an average of 42.2. Albany State 6 punts for a 38.8. Penalties in the ball game, both teams in double digits. Tuskegee with 11, 65 yards, and Albany State 10 for 59. Tuskegee controlled the clock, 31 minutes, 46 seconds, Albany only needing it 28-14. On third down, Tuskegee was 9 of 17, Albany 3 of 13. On fourth down conversion, Tuskegee 1 of 2, Albany State 0 for 0. And both teams were 3 for 3 with their red zone scoring opportunities. For Tuskegee, individual statistics, Richard Fitzhugh, 12 attempts, 65 yards, and 1 touchdown. Kevin Huff, 16 attempts, 47 yards, and 2 scores. Kenny Henderson, 2 attempts, 3 yards. And Eric Long, 2 attempts for a -3 yards. For Kevin Huff, he was 29 of 49, 244 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Receiving for Tuskegee, Henderson had 7 catches for 67 yards. Calvin Russell had 5 catches for 67. Lorenzo Crawford, 5 catches for 35. And Richard Fitzhugh, 5 catches for 26. Roosevelt Echeverry, of course, had the 5 punts for a 42.2 average, his long being 52, and had 1 inside the 20. On kick returns, it was Calvin Russell with 4 returns, 42 yards, and Robert Durham with 2 for 53. For Albany State, it was Hosea Harris who had 8 rushing attempts for 112 yards, 1 score on a 70-yard run. And Antoine Andrews, 21 attempts, 62 yards, and a score. Keith Mooten, 7 attempts, 22 yards, and Antonio Atkins, 5 attempts, 9 yards. Passing, Hosea Harris was 8 of 14, 188 yards, and 2 touchdowns. In all, Harris accounted for 300 of Albany State's 389 yards. Receiving, Craig Barber, 2 receptions, 87 yards. Antonio Atkins, 2 for 25. Antonio Ivy, 1 for 28 with a score. Brandon Green, 1 for 21 with a score. Punting for Albany State, it was Randy Allen, 6 punts for the 38.8 average. 51 yards was his long. He had 2 punts inside the 20. Brandon Green was punt returner on record with 2 for 50. And, of course, his long being a 44. And on kick returns, it was Marcus Jefferson, 2 returns for 43 yards, and Joshua Chappell, 1 for 17. So as we wrap up this game, James, your final thoughts on this contest?
Well, it was a good game. The Albany State Rams definitely have had the Golden Tigers number. Comagee has a 2-6 record against Albany State, and this is definitely one of the teams that have given the Golden Tigers fits over the years. As mentioned early in the broadcast, since 1992, all SIAC championships, with the exception of 1, have come through these 2 teams. We look forward to this not being any different this year, as Fort Valley State University seems to be in the driver's seat at present time. However, they come to Cleveland Lee Abbott Alumni Memorial Stadium and they play Albany State in Columbus, Georgia. Right now it is a first place Fort Valley, a 3-way tie for second place, and it just depends on who beats who on that given day. Right now, Albany State has 1 loss in the conference, that is to Valdosta, because they did not play Stillman College, and the Golden Tigers have a loss to Albany State. So somewhere down the line, Tuskegee's going to need some help to get that SIAC championship, and so will Albany State.
And, of course, just to set those conference standings now, of course, the one final that we do not have is the Kentucky State at Lane contest. Last update was a 21-21 tie. But right now, Fort Valley sitting 5-0 in the conference with with Albany State now at 4-1 and Tuskegee at 3-1. Kentucky State still sitting at 2-1, of course, based on the results could either go 3-1 or 2-2. Stillman College in their first year in the conference is 3-2. Clark Atlanta drops to 2-3. Morehouse off this week, still holding out 1-3. Miles College falls to 1-4. Benedict gets their first win in conference play, moving to 1-3, and Lane College sitting at 0-4, and as I said, still waiting on the results of that contest. For next week, Albany State has a week off, another weekend of rest on October 8th, and then the Rams will travel to Atlanta to face Clark Atlanta. Tuskegee will face Morehouse College in the annual Tuskegee Morehouse Classic. Kickoff is 2:30 at Memorial Stadium in Columbus, Georgia, and so Tuskegee will definitely go to the film and try to correct a lot of the mental mistakes in this contest.
Also, you have to give account also that Albany State had 2 weeks to prepare for Tuskegee, not playing their Saturday's contest against the powerhouse Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Golden Tigers traveled out of conference play and played 1AA Arkansas Pine Bluff, defeating them in the 12th annual Gateway Classic in St. Louis, Missouri. Therefore, you don't want to get into making excuses why teams didn't do what they should have done on paper. However, it was a great contest. Albany State and Tuskegee have gone back and forth for years. The plot just thickens. We look forward to next year in Cleveland, Lee Abbott Alumni Stadium.
All right, well done. For our producer, Roy Evans.
And as we see Dr. B here, we're going to wrap that up in 4. James Arrington and Dr. B. Brian Fulford. Just to remind you again, today's game is brought to you by HBCU Network, HBCUalumnicruise.com. Check them out. Going to Jamaica next year. You want to be on the boat. Also brought to you by PersonalBuy.com. PersonalBuy.com, your number one source for HBCU apparel and accessories. Also brought to you in part by Nappy Edges Hip Hop Gear. Hip Hop Gear for the new millennium. NappyEdges.org. And this game was presented to you, title sponsored today by BlackAmericaTravel.com, your number one source for ethnic travel and destinations. That's BlackAmericaTravel.com. Get your stuff, lock the door, and let's go. BlackAmericaTravel.com. We will be off next week, but join us on October 15th at Panther Stadium on the campus of Clark Atlanta University, where these same Albany State Rams will take on the Panthers of Clark Atlanta University in a homecoming battle right here on the Black College Sports Network. And again, for James Arrington and Dr. B. Brian Fulford, this is Roy Evans saying you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.